Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
I think a lot of people get intimidated by that word, and especially people in our industry that say, well, it's so competitive. Well, it is competitive. So is medical school. So is nursing school. So is becoming a great teacher.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
Welcome to the Making Waves VO podcast presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
And Bobby, we're very pleased and honored to have legendary voice actor and coach Eddie Cooper with us. Eddie, how are you, man?
Oh, doing great. Doing great. Excited about fall coming up.
Yeah, fall is coming up on us. And now you're out west, right? Upper Northwest?
I am. I'm north of Seattle by about an hour on a little island called Camano Island.
Oh, you're on an island. Nice. Is that home for you?
Not originally. I'm from Connecticut originally, and then spent a lot of time in Florida. Went to high school and college down there, and just kind of moved all over the country. But my wife grew up out here, so that's how I ended up becoming a Pacific Northwest person.
One of the most beautiful places in the nation.
It is.
Far.
It's beautiful out here. Yeah, we still get the change of seasons, which I like, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah.
Where were you in Florida?
West Palm Beach area.
Oh, no kidding. I spent 10 years in Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I worked for WKIS down there, the country radio station down there for 10 years.
Yeah. God, what's his name? His big radio guy in West Palm Beach. Dave. His last name is Pelletier.
We just had him on the podcast a couple of months ago.
Right.
Yeah, Dave Pelletier.
Dave Pelletier. He's a great guy. And I've actually, when I was down there visiting a friend of mine in Jupiter, he lives in Palm Beach Gardens area, I needed a booth, and so he let me use his studio, which was really, really nice of him, and just a great guy.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're going to get to know you a little bit, Eddie, and your voice sounds very familiar. If you would share with our listeners just a couple of your highlights from throughout your career, what you've done, where we may have heard you.
Yeah, quite a few, places, of course, like everybody, spread out all over the globe, I guess, these days. But I've done a lot of work I've done work for Nike, for Subway, for Arby's, political stuff. I've narrated, several documentary shows, and love doing that, love the long form stuff. And my Levi's, Microsoft. Of course, Microsoft is based out here. I've been in their studios, which is amazing.
Wow.
And I read that you like bourbon.
I do.
And so I've read about you both, so look out. But Maker's Mark, I've done some work for them, and also JetBlue, and Beaches of Fort Myers, Sanibel, and all over the place. But just that's what I love about the work. It's never the same.
This is Tracy Thibodeau, and you've got the best VO podcast in all the land right here. The Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Enjoy.
Well, tell us about how you got into voiceover, where you started, how you made the switch over, if you came from, a totally different line of work. Just tell us about yourself.
Sure. My first acting job I was like 10 years old, and I lived in Connecticut, and the car broke down, and my dad took me by boat up the Connecticut River to the Goodspeed Opera House. For those of you listening, Google the Goodspeed Opera House in East Haddam, Connecticut. It is where Annie was first produced before it went to Broadway. And so I was in the musical Peter Pan. I played one of the Lost Boys, and that's kind of where my acting started. And then did some in college, and then I was living in the D.C. area, and I was growing up rapidly. Now I'm already in D.C. now. And so I was a flight attendant for United Airlines for 34 years.
What?
Yeah, and my wife was as well. She was there 25 years. And, we had enough of people throwing food at us, so we retired and got out of it.
Why are you going to throw food at the pilot? Leave the pilot alone.
No, I was a
flight
attendant. I was working in the back.
Flight attendant.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they couldn't get to the pilots as the doors there, but if they could, they would. So, but we had a great career. The best part of that job was meeting my wife there, and that was awesome. But I started in the D.C. area. I was doing on-camera work and some stage work, and on camera from Philly down to D.C. I was with Mike Lemon Casting in Philadelphia, and he's no longer with us, but he was a great guy, and so I decided, because I already had agencies in the D.C. area representing me, and I decided, well, I'm going to look at the voiceover thing, and that was in the 90s, and it was nice because I already had agents, so I recorded my first demo on a cassette tape, and
Been there, done that.
yeah, and I have it sitting in my studio here, which is kind of fun, and so started doing it there, and I was doing a lot of e-learning stuff for the government. DC's an amazing market, I look at it almost like a major market. They call it a secondary, but really it's a major market. And there's so much there. There's so much business that goes on, so many defense contractors. So I got a lot of work that way, and then started doing commercial work there. So really loved voiceover because, doing on camera, you're filming in some drugstore at 2:00 in the morning for some ad, and okay, you're up, and you're waiting 10 hours to do your 2-second part. And you're getting that day rate, and I'd rather have been in the studio just voicing a 30-second commercial in 15 minutes or something. And so I just love the work. I love the creative visualization that there's really not a lot in front of you except what's in your mind when you get the script, and I love the challenge of that. And of course, when you both started, you auditioned live, and I miss the days of auditioning live, even though people say, oh yeah, but you're in your house, you don't have to drive anywhere. But I love that because I love the interaction with people in the business, because you hardly see anybody today. And and I love that, and I love the challenge of them slapping a script in front of you and saying, okay, you ready? Yeah, okay. Never seen the script before, and then laying it down. And I don't know about you, but I mean, I just I love the challenge of that, and I love the ability to jump in without any notes and deliver. And there's a rush to that for me, and I typically perform well under those situations.
And I think you typically do better in live auditions because the adrenaline's pumping, the stakes are higher because they're right there, and plus you can get immediate reaction on what you're doing. That's all I was going to say. So I agree with him 100%.
So how was the transition to go from in person to strictly in a booth? Was that tough for you?
Well, it wasn't so much tough as it was confusing. How is all this going to play out? And where you had still some agents hanging on. No, you got to come in. And then I think it took a lot of people time to let that go. I'm sure you experienced that as well, and realize and rely on the technology that we had in the beginning, and now, of course, that we have now is amazing. But it was, it wasn't too bad, really. I finally got a home studio. I think I put my studio in 2000, and I bought my first mic, which was a Neumann U87.
Ooh, yeah,
Wow.
Go big or go home.
I know, and I figured I'm in this for the long haul, so I want to get something that's going to be there with me, and so I'm a partner with Neumann, so I love Neumann, and their mics are just amazing, and Sennheiser as well. I have a 416 I use quite a bit, and I travel with that because it's so nice to have in a hotel room.
How do you get a partnership with a company like that?
Well, it's just meeting the right people, I guess, and trying to find out who to talk to, and my passion for Neumann was there, and I did end up finding the right person to talk with. We had a great conversation, and they decided to come on board, and they loved what I was doing with the workshops that I'm doing out there as well with my career. And that's something that started about 5-6 years ago for me. And I've never been a teacher before, but I realized that I could do that, and I enjoy doing it. So I know we can talk about that and whenever you like.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
Hola, soy Jenny Álvarez y estás escuchando el Making Waves VO podcast con Kevin y Bobby.
Oh, Bobby, this is exciting news. Our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com, have an amazing special going on right now, and that is for our very special friends that are voice actors that want to buy a voiceover bundle.
Yeah, our friend at Full Compass had mentioned at VoiceOver Atlanta they were going to look into getting bundles, and wow, when they looked into getting bundles, they went straight to the top. Neumann, we all know the name, we love the name. It's just best of the best in voiceover. So they're bundling a bunch of Neumann products and gonna save you a lot of moolah. The Neumann TLM 103 voiceover bundle includes that amazing 103 microphone, the Neumann headphones, and a really cool interface. I've never tried this, but I've heard great things about the Neumann interface.
This new era of interfaces, Bobby, is amazing because you can program these interfaces to do different things, and you can program them to, lock in audio settings and different things like that. And we know the legendary Neumann name for all these years. And the TLM 103 that you talk about, there are so many of our voice actor friends that use that microphone because it is a brilliant combination of warmth and presence, and it is an amazing microphone for a voice actor. And when you put all these together, the NDH20 headphones along with the TLM 103, and then that sweet interface, you get a savings of 23%. 23%. So the bundle that Bobby was talking about was originally $4,477. You can get it right now for a limited time for $3,449.99.
And they also have bundles with the TLM 193 and the big guy, the big daddy, the U87 AI bundle.
Yeah, and those, the prices on those are a little bit different, but there's something for every price level, whatever you want to do. Check out the voiceover bundles that they have on sale right now at Full Compass. If you want expert assistance, you can give them a call at 1-800-356-5844, or Bobby, you could go on their website, right?
Fullcompass.com.
Fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Making Waves returns. I did want to go back to something that you mentioned a few minutes ago when you were talking about the on-camera stuff and then the voiceover stuff. And I seem to sense a pattern with on-camera talent that go to voiceover only, that you can make more money doing voiceover.
Yeah.
Is that true? Has that been your experience?
Oh my God, yeah. And it's so much easier. The commute is great.
Yeah.
And yeah, you really can for the time that you're putting in, especially Kevin. I think that's a footnote on that. I absolutely think that. And there's so many. With voiceover, my God, it's everywhere. It's in an airport. It's in, a shopping mall. It's on a telephone. It's in commercials, of course, and digital and mainstream television. And so it goes on. And they keep creating streaming networks. And to me, there's just more opportunity for voiceover. And it's still competitive, just like anything else. But I look at competitiveness as just a word. I never let it intimidate me. People get hung up on that. Oh, it's so competitive. And, I was on a flight once, working a flight, and I had two guys on, and I was working up in first class on a DC-10. There were like 40 people up there, and I'm working, and my wife and I would work a lot up there together. It was really fun. And so she was like organizing in the galley, and I was the alley rat, out there just taking care of people. And I overheard these two guys. They were on their way to Los Angeles, and we were going from D.C. to Los Angeles, and they were saying, and this is great advice for everybody listening that wants to get into voiceovers. They said, I overheard them talking about voiceover, and I said, are you involved in the business? Oh, yeah, we're voiceover actors, and we're heading to Los Angeles for some work. And I said, oh, that's great. I said, I'm thinking about getting into that myself. He says, well, it's very competitive. It's the first thing they said out of their mouth. It's like, really? I said, well, I felt like saying, well, why did you start getting into it then? It was so competitive. It's like, I mean, name one thing that you want to be great at that isn't competitive. If you're a janitor in the building and you want to be the superintendent of service in that building, well, you better be good at what you do to work your way up to that big position. And so I think a lot of people get intimidated by that word, and especially people in our industry that say, well, it's so competitive. Well, it is competitive. So is medical school. So is nursing school. So is becoming a great teacher. But the best thing to do is not listen to the noise. And had I listened to those guys, which I didn't grow up that way. I grew up with parents that pushed me and said, "Hey, whatever you want to do, you do it," and I'm grateful for that. But I just tell everybody out there, don't listen to that word. It's just a word. And there are so many opportunities, more opportunities now in voiceover, as you well know, than ever before. And I think you have to do your homework. You have to treat it like a business. And, transitioning from on camera to voiceover was pretty easy once I realized the gain with the time you were putting in. Now, you have to work hard, but the actual spot time, like instead of 9 hours in a drugstore waiting for a 2-second, thing on TV, on an ad, your actual time behind the mic is not as much. So it's you can be more productive, and the income is there.
I think you made a really good, strong point about saying, yes, it is competitive, but you have to treat it like a business, because I think the people who say it's so competitive, I'm just not getting any jobs, may not be looking at every facet of voiceover, which includes marketing yourself and finding those little niche things like you just mentioned where there might not be as much competition. And it really is just looking at a big picture rather than saying, I'm not getting hired. Nobody's reaching out to me, which a lot of people think. So, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, you can't wait for the emails. You can't wait for the calls to come in. You have to be proactive. Even if you have an agent or agents representing you, they love it when you promote and yourself and work hard at that. The more marketing you do, the better it is for you and everybody involved in your business. But you have to treat it like a business and give it that respect.
VO news and insights to take your game from VO adequate to VO at a kick ass. This is voice actor Steve Henderson with Good Pipes VO, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
So what are some of we're talking about your workshop possibly, or we are talking about your workshop coming up soon, but what are some of the other ancillary areas around voiceover that you're working on?
You mean in regards to the workshop and what I...
Yeah, you're doing workshops. Are you doing coaching also?
Yeah.
Are you producing demos or anything?
I'm not producing demos. I'm aligned well with Chuck Duran. He is amazing.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, Chuck. And Chuck, so I do coaching. I do that virtually. It's one-on-one coaching. And Chuck gave me a call, and he and I become really, really good friends, and he's a great guy, and he gave me a call. He said, are you up for doing some coaching? And I said, well, yeah. And I had already been doing some coaching, but he said, he gets calls from people that they're not quite there yet. They need some work. And so he'll have me coach them before they do the demo with him. And then I'll actually get their scripts from him, and we'll work on those scripts, to get them really in tune, fine-tune them for the demo process with him. And then I have, other people calling me from all over the place too, from my workshops that I do. So I have the workshop at Full Compass coming up on November 8th. It's first time there. I'm excited about.
Yeah, go and tell us about that. Tell us what's going on in your partnership with Full Compass and the sponsoring event. The ones that are doing the event.
Yeah. So Full Compass and it's sponsored by Full Compass and partnering with Neumann on it as well. I'm going to be in Madison, Wisconsin, November 8th. I encourage everybody out there to come out. Madison is such a cool town. I've been there a little bit, but it's been a long time ago. And I think they have 15 pubs or breweries where you can bring your dog. So if you're a dog fan, I mean, how cool is that?
Oh, really?
So, but I love Full Compass and their whole business structure. They're based right there, and of course they sell gear and represent a lot of brands. And it's going to be in their sound stage where this will be, and it's a live, in-person, one-day workshop from 10 to 5. And people can go to the Full Compass website. It's going to be launching soon. To purchase a ticket, it's probably up. Maybe it's up now, but you can go to Full Compass and find out all about the workshop. But what I cover in the workshop is it's for those that want to get into the business, but also those that are already in the business that really want to fine-tune their marketing skills and talk about current trends. There's a lot there for everybody. And so what I do is, let me back up a minute. I started doing these workshops because so many people were getting such bad information. And I have a radio theater show as well that I do out here. There's 8 of us in the group, and I started it, and I direct and produce it, and it's really fun. And we do 1940s radio theater with live sound effects. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, and this one person in it is a professor of communications at a college north of me here, and he asked if I'd come in and talk to his group about voiceover, and I said, yeah, sure. So I came in, did a little PowerPoint, had never done that before, and I absolutely had a great time. And I saw lights going off in people's heads, it was the interest of it. And I had people come up to me before and say, hey, I've always wanted to do this. Everybody says, I have a great voice. Okay, well, somebody had said in some webinar I attended, I forget who it was because I love to give them credit for this analogy, but, you walk into Carnegie Hall and there's a Steinway piano on the stage. Well, people say, oh, I have a great voice. Okay, well, the Steinway piano is your voice. What can you do with it? Can you play it? Can you play it? And so that's the important thing. And so in the workshop, I talk about that. I talk about voiceover, where it's been, where it currently is, most importantly, where it's going. AI is the big elephant in the room, and everybody's worried about it and concerned about it and all of that. I just look at AI as another competitor in the room. And is it perfected? No. Will it be? I don't know. Who knows? So many people don't know so much about it. I mean, there's so much to know about it. The people creating it don't know enough about it. So people ask me questions about it, and my answer is, I really don't know. So, but I do talk about it somewhat. I think you're going to start seeing it in a lot of e-learning and messaging on hold and things like that. But some, not all. But people are genuinely interested in the business, and so I cover all the facets of it. Like Bobby, you said, the marketing. I dive into marketing quite a bit. And then Chuck Duran will come on at 3:30 in the day and zoom in for half an hour and talk about demo production, which is really fun to have him there. And
oh yeah,
it's really great and eye opening. And then I have a marketing company out of Seattle, Washington called Shift Up, and they'll be out there zooming in and talking with people about marketing their brand and the importance of that. And then I have a wonderful lady zooming in for about 15 minutes from Los Angeles. She owns a company called Planet of Names, and she was featured on NBC Nightly News about a year or so ago. And I saw the segment, reached out to her, and I did not have a nice signature at that time, and had her create an avatar of my signature. It was beautiful. And so she does celebrities as well as non-celebs and sports stars and all of this. And so she's going to chime in a little bit and to talk about, creating your own identity through your signature, which is really, really cool. So
That is neat.
yeah, and Full Compass is just fully on board. They're excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's a new relationship for me there, and and they're going to be there. Neumann will be there. There'll be a Gear Talk, section with Full Compass, and what a wonderful company, family owned. I love that. I love to be involved in family-owned companies, and they've done a beautiful job. Talk about marketing their company, and offering the gear that they do from all of the manufacturers that are available. So the workshop is great. So much is done online today. I think it's a breath of fresh air for people to be able to say, "Hey, I'm looking for something live. Where is it?" Well, I'm bringing it, and I'm bringing it to cities like Madison and Fort Wayne, Indiana, Salt Lake City, Boston, all over the country, and doing a few more this fall and then more after the first of the year.
Is there a virtual option, or is it strictly in person?
No, it's in person, and purposely are doing that so people can really experience that in-person feeling, and that hands-on, be able to see the gear, touch the gear when they're there, and see samples of it, and be able to, get a nice discount on the gear with the bundle packages that will be offered at the workshop. And but I think it's it's fun to have a live event in person and intensive learning. Because it is. We take about a 45-minute break for lunch, and Full Compass is picking up all the lunches as well, which is nice. Everybody's exhausted by the end of the workshop, but in a good way.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
Hi, everyone. This is voice actor Karin Gilfrey, and you're listening to my awesome friends Kevin and Bobby on the amazing Making Waves VO podcast.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
Now back to the podcast.
And we love our relationship with Full Compass. They are truly great people, and the way you described it, they're a family business, and we love partnering with them for the same reason as well. We're going to get a recap on that in just a minute, Eddie. I wanted to ask you, though, I sent you a note, and not everybody has a crazy story that they can share, but we do a regular segment called Nightmare Sessions, where we talk about a session, a live recording session, or it could be other, that maybe couldn't have gone much worse. Bobby and I have had our own. We've had some legendary VO folks share their stories. Do you have a nightmare session story that you could share with us?
Yeah, I have several, and it was hard to pick one.
That seems to be the way it goes.
Good. Yeah, not a good thing.
Nightmare Sessions.
I did this spot for Nike, and I was on the East Coast. It was a beautiful spot. It was a TV spot, and so I needed to go up to New Jersey on a Saturday because I had a meeting up there with Verizon, and so I took a train from D.C. I was living there for about 8 months. I was there in the 90s for like 10 years, and then went back there for about a year and a half working on a project, and then so I took a train up, and I thought, well, I'm going to leave my gear. It's Saturday. Who's going to be calling me? Well, the spot with Nike was on Thursday or Friday. So I'm on the train. I'm in the quiet zone with my laptop, and I get an email. I get a call. Hey, Ed, it's Mike with Nike. You did the spot for us just the other day. And I said, yeah. I said, what's going on? He says, well, we rewrote a sentence there. And he said, could you record it, send it to us, just that sentence. And I said, well, when do you need this? He said, if you can get it to me today, it'd be great. I said, yeah, no problem. Never say no. And so I said, could you give me a couple of hours? And I was like maybe about, I don't know, an hour out from getting into New Jersey. And he says, yeah, just let us know and send it to my email. I said, okay. So I get up there. I have my laptop, which is a MacBook Pro, and I'm freaking out. It's like, okay, how am I going to do this, right? So I have an iPhone, I have a MacBook Pro and all this stuff. I have no mic. I have nothing. And so I get to my hotel, get in the room. I try recording into my mic on my laptop, and it's sounding like crap, And I'm going, oh my God, I need to control the gain here. This is terrible. So I call Apple and I said, look, let me ask you a question. Where's the microphone on this thing? And they said, well, it's the upper left, right by the upper left speaker. I said, okay, thanks. Hung up, got in there so I could drill down on that mic, did a little processing, and it was like, whoa. And so I did 3 or 4 takes for them on that sentence, sent it, and I'm waiting, and I'm going, oh my, it's half an hour. They haven't contacted me. So I call him. I say, hey, Mike, did you get the spot? Did you get the recordings? I said, I sent you like 3 takes. He said, yeah, we got them. I said, everything all right? He says, yeah, great. Sounds great. I said, okay. So it was like, oh my God. That was the most bizarre thing for me.
I can't believe, because I'm sitting there waiting for you to go, and they called back and said, hey, Eddie, this audio is garbage.
Yeah.
Can you give us another take from a studio?
I know.
But that's the way the world is now, right?
I know.
mean, do you recall, even in the 90s, there was such, precision and detail paid attention to in terms of the audio fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, it's like, hey, Eddie can record on his MacBook Pro condenser mic.
Yeah.
And,
well,
and it's fine.
It was a lesson learned. Never leave home without it. So,
yeah.
Right.
And
well, Kevin, you just recorded me on the beach of St. John, and I was inside of a Jeep.
Wow.
And there were animals outside, like, I don't know what they were, roosters or whatever. And you said it was usable, right, Kev?
Animals inside the Jeep too, right, Bobby?
Oh, yeah, baby.
Jeez.
It's remarkable what clients will accept. I heard a similar story where a guy was voicing something. I can't remember the network. It was Discovery or A&E or Nat Geo, one of those. And they needed a last-minute VO from this talent. And he had set up his microphone in the middle of a open hotel or a kitchen, something with tile floor.
Wow.
And his buddy was like, are you going to send them that? And he's like, yeah, what are they going to do, not use it? And anyway, I'm not, no names, no networks, because I don't want that to be tied to anybody.
Yeah.
But apparently, with the way we can process things nowadays, we have some room on the back end for error.
Yeah, and that's what they did. I mean, they obviously, I was competing with a U87 and my MacBook Pro. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine how much that little microphone cost in that MacBook Pro, but I'm sure it wasn't much. So,
right. Well, Eddie, why don't you recap the event with Full Compass, how people can take part in it, and
yeah, they can go to Full Compass, go to Full Compass's website, fullcompass.com, and you can purchase a ticket there. And it's November the 8th from 10 to 5. And I ask everybody, if you need a cool weekend or something, come in on a Friday night, enjoy Madison, Wisconsin. There's fall festivals, stuff like that going on, and great place to be. A lot of great restaurants, I understand. So make it a nice little weekend and get some nice learning in to the workshop. But I'd sign up because there's limited registration, limited spaces available. But it's going to be amazing. It really is.
And who should be attending this? Like, what type of voice actor? I think you mentioned newer and those that have been doing it for a while, too.
Yeah, anybody that doesn't have any experience. If you don't have any experience in the business and wanting to get into voiceover, this is an amazing workshop to take. But if you're already in the business, new in the business, or seasoned pro, there's something for everybody in this workshop. And the cool thing about it is I get everybody up after the lunch break on mic. on a nice TLM 103 that we have set up on stage. And I have about 50 scripts for people to choose from. So it's an interactive workshop as well. So even I get people that are working in the business that love that part of it. They get up, I have them read through the script one time, and then I give them direction for the second read through, some coaching. And it's all recorded by an engineer there. And those recordings are emailed to each individual attendee afterwards. But it shows them with just a little bit of coaching how improved the read can be. And even those that are maybe struggling with auditions that are working in the business and they're not booking and they want to know why. Well, I have a kind of a cool method of coaching and that it's very real. It's very real. I try to pull the best out of everybody, the best that they have. And I certainly tell them, don't try to be somebody you're not. Work on your sound, as we all know. Work on your signature sound. And I hit on that hard in the workshops as well. So they don't get intimidated about, well, I'm supposed to sound like this. No, you're supposed to sound like you, because if you book it, they're hiring you because of who you are, Mm-hmm. So and then in my one-on-one coaching beyond that, I work, closely with people and work on what they do best, and focus on what they do best. And when Chuck Duran designs scripts for them, it's after a full conversation with them, a pre-production meeting, to work on their strong points and work on what they're passionate about voicing.
Love it. Eddie Cooper, so great getting to know you on the Making Waves VO podcast, and looking forward to that event November 8th at Full Compass in Madison, Wisconsin. And if anybody wanted to reach out to you, how could they find you?
Eddie at eddiecooper.studio.
Easy enough. Eddie, thanks so much for your time. Much continued success in the voiceover world.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Bobby. Really great to meet you both, and hope to see you someday soon.
Well, that was nice getting to know Eddie. A nice guy, a good guy for the business, and he's been doing it a while, Bobby.
He has. I loved hearing that he came from being a flight attendant. We hear all these people coming from different areas. I don't think I've ever heard of a flight attendant going into voiceover.
The funny thing is I have, and it's been here recently, though. Rebecca Lee. You know Rebecca Lee?
Oh, that's right. She was. I totally forgot about that.
But he did it in the 90s.
Yeah.
He had the whole career as a flight attendant prior to that, and then he starts, because that's what people do nowadays. I think I'm going to try voiceover. But he was doing that back in the 90s, which is remarkable. But yeah.
The funny thing is, I always wanted to be a flight attendant.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
Definitely. They told me I was too tall.
Oh, that could be the case. I was going to say you'd have made a great flight attendant.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Very, very good. Well, that was a fun Making Waves VO podcast, and we've got another good one coming up next week.
We're going across the pond. The British Invasion. Two ladies who do really well in voiceover. They're both British, but Kate Neeland is in London, and Colette Redgrave, who is British but lives in Portugal now, is it?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So we met them at a conference and just immediately bonded. So it's going to be fun, the British Invasion.
Hello, governor. This will be an opportunity for me to do my bad British accent, Bobby. I'll be doing it the whole podcast. Hello, governor.
Oh, please. I want to hear their American.
I know. It's probably going to be a big stereotype. Well, how y'all doing?
Oh, my God.
Oh, that was another fun episode. The Making Waves VO podcast presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Bobby, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye, governor.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.